Hi, it's David, and welcome to another training video for the Leader Coach Catalyst. You are transforming your world in tangible ways for the better, and these videos will help you. It was probably 25 years ago when something clicked for me, and everything in my work changed. Not only did I watch my clients' performance start to skyrocket, but it also was good for my business. My referrals also started to skyrocket because people were telling their friends about it. And I want you to know this too. I'll share with you the experience that I had, and as I do, I'd invite you to just listen, because my guess is that you can actually, you can be a few steps ahead of where I was. It took me a while to figure this out. And also, I'm guessing that you will relate to some of this experience that I was in or that my clients were in for yourself. So 25 years ago, 26 years ago, I began this work. And at the time, I was a lot younger and I had a baby face. Well, the people I was calling on as prospective clients were in their 50s and 60s. And while I had led the turnaround of a business, we went from $85 million in sales to $200 million in sales in a couple of years, which was a big transformation for that company, and moved all the metrics in a positive way. These people were running multi-billion-dollar businesses and had organizations of thousands of people. And to add to that, I was having this Groundhog Day experience over and over. With each person I met, I felt like they were telling me the same thing and I just couldn't figure out what was happening, which was maddening. So essentially they would say, I started to call it the proverbial point A to point B. We're here and we want to get there. For each person, it was different. For some people, for some leaders, it was our revenues are here and we need to achieve this. And for others, it was my team engages and performs in this way, but if we're going to achieve the results that we need them to perform at this level together. Others would say, I as a leader understand that I can do these things, but if we're going to transform the business the way we want, I'm going to have to transform the way I lead to this. And so it was proverbial point A to point B, but it got worse, because then they would say to a person, well, the pathway to get from here to here, I'm pretty sure it's going to be this. And they would describe something to me. And as I listened, it made sense. I mean, I didn't agree with everything, but they seemed to have it pretty well figured out. And some of the people who were even more aware could also tell me, and this is how I got stuck at point A in the first place. Now, are you thinking what I was thinking? Because at that point, after I heard that so many times, I thought, why are you even calling me? You know what you need. You've got it all figured out. I can't help you. What am I supposed to do? But my first big insight that I had was that they don't have a full understanding of what I talked about in the last video. Understanding, to be able to separate conceptual understanding, which they had, from embodied knowledge, which was very different and what they were trying to achieve but couldn't, so that they could actually have the impact that they wanted. So I looked around and I asked myself, where else is it? I mean, this isn't a new concept, right? People know that conceptual understanding doesn't always help you have embodied learning that produces results. Where do we know this already? And kind of after a while, I realized, there's two places at least, probably many more, where that really matters. One is the world of athletics. Another is in the world of performance, like dance or theater or singing, playing an instrument. And in those, it's very different to be able to conceptually understand or to Google how to drive a Formula One race car. You can even watch videos of it. Watch how the driver corners, how they hold the steering wheel, what they're saying to their pit crew, all sorts of things like that. But put you in that car with other cars driving hundreds of miles around an hour all around you, and you're not going to do so well, because you haven't embodied the knowledge. Or for a musician, you can translate notes on a sheet of music to different fingerings on a violin. And each string has a fingering, and how to move the bow, all those things that you can read about or watch on a video. But when Carnegie Hall is filled with an audience of music aficionados and the orchestra is ready to play and the conductor has the baton and you walk out with your violin, if you only have conceptual understanding, I don't think a lot of people are going to stick around for that. So there's musicians or performers and athletes know there's a huge difference between those two, and they have to close that gap. Well, what do they know that we don't know? How to close that gap, how to travel from conceptual understanding to embodied knowledge. For them, it's really simple. They practice. Practices are actually the key to moving from conceptually understanding something, where my clients were when they were talking to me, to being able to actually do it. And that's when I realized, oh, I need to really develop a deep expertise in practices. And actually, I've spent the last 25 years doing that. I've developed thousands of practices for different people in different situations. Some of them are similar for different people because they're trying to achieve similar things. But for leader, coaches, catalysts, you need to be able to not only conceptually understand things to have that impact, but you need to be able to embody it through practice. And I even went as far as to, there are some practices that are almost universal, but I went as far as to make sure that everybody understood what are the elements of an effective practice, so that we always are having them perform something that's going to lead them from here to here as quickly and as efficiently and as effectively as possible, so that they can actually apply it. So in future videos, I'm going to share with you actually exactly that path that I share with my clients. I'll even share some of the standards that are almost universally successful for whoever uses them. But for now, I'm going to ask you to reflect on just where you are with it at this moment so that you can be ready to move forward. So I have 3 questions for you. The first is, what do you already have deep knowledge in? There are things that you have already at work, or maybe it's a subject, you have subject matter expertise, or in your life in general, you have deep expertise already in things. You have embodied knowledge. And so my question would be, what's that area? But also, what practices did you use to get there? Because you don't fall into this. Now, you might not have called it a practice. You might not have thought of it as a practice. But to get that level of knowledge so that you could apply it in the real world to move results, even under pressure, you absolutely did something that we would call a practice. And so what were your practices, even if you didn't know it? And maybe you can recall even what the elements were, so you can think about what makes you successful. The second question then is, what have you been frustrated with because it's not going as you envision? Okay, that could very well be a sign that you understand things conceptually, but you haven't really developed embodied learning or developed at a high enough level. So do you have conceptual understanding, or do you have actually embodied knowledge? Do you have reliable practices that you can use to keep making that knowledge go higher and higher, getting it deeper into your bones, into your neurological system, into your muscle memory? And then ask, if this isn't working for you, is now even the right time? You may want it, you may dream of it, but is this really going to serve you? Are you going to be able to apply it? Are there other things that take greater priority? Because we can't develop embodied knowledge in everything, because it takes a big investment, and our neurological system isn't capable for most of us at doing that. Then the last question is, what do you want to develop, either mastery or further mastery in for yourself? Again, it could be professional, it could be a subject matter, it could be something outside of work. But the questions there are, why? What will successfully applying it do for you and others? Also then, what is success? What's it going to look like or feel like? Or what will you be able to do? Or what will the outcomes be? How will you know that you were successful? And then, what could a practice look like to help you further your mastery? What would you do? How would you do it? Where would you do it? Just you've actually developed your own practices before. Again, even though you didn't call them that, what could that look like? And with that, I'm going to, in future videos, help you learn what some of those practices are and show you the elements of a practice so that you can develop them over time. Look, again, I've said it before, this idea of understanding the difference between conceptual understanding and embodied learning has been one of the key differentiators that my clients have used, not only to make them a better version of themselves, but to differentiate themselves from their peers and competitors so that they get the opportunities, so that they get rewarded with promotions or pay, or they were the ones who got the funding. This actually has a very tangible outcome to it. This can, for me, it's not just about having tangible success. If you stick with this, you're going to also have a greater sense of satisfaction and meaning, because you'll be having the impact as a leader, coach, catalyst that you want, changing the world, transforming the ways and things that matter to you to make them better. So stick with me in these videos. We're going to help continue to build on it, and I'm excited to see what's coming forward for you. If you have any questions, always, I welcome your questions, your insights, your suggestions about how to make these videos better. That is always welcome, because this is really, I'm building this for you. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.